back to 320. We're on the long march here, trying to get through this guy. We've got some just finishing up detailing to do here. We're doing not too bad actually. We have our part. It's modeled. If at the end we want to put some, maybe we'll do a mesh or something. Actually might just paint it. We'll see how it goes. The point here is shift N, turn it on, turn the color off and on. If you want to change the color, you can do it at the top. Cycle component color. Ooh, green. Teal, aqua, whatever it is. We're interested in the bottom effect here. There's a kind of a bunch of stuff going on, including a bunch of wrench marks, all that stuff. Now, I am going to stick to trying to put the sketches at the start. It is tempting, and it's valid to put the sketches under here. But I would like them down over here, along with the others. So, given all that, let's just have a look, pre-plan our sketches before we get started. I'm going to cut away this surface eventually. So I'm interested in this plus NWT. So let's keep that in mind and go ahead here and roll history to there. If we want, we can actually use this to do this, but we've already used a formula to generate this. We'll do the same. So let's do a sketch on the top plane. Circle to get started, just to get started. Again, if things get in the way, just hide them. And show them. Now I can project what I'm actually interested in, this bottom vertex. This gives me all the stuff I need to know. Now, tempting as it is, we're not quite done yet. I'm gonna draw, sketch a line out vertically. It can be construction. And this is going to be positioning the end of my hole. Again, I've projected this up. There it is there. So now we need to make sure that this circle intersects that final outside of our surface. So after all that blather, this is NWT divided by 2. There it is. Escape once and just stick our circle to that hole. Now you'll just have to go on, we'll just go on belief here, but we're going to draw some slots. We will use the sketch, what am I trying to say? We will use the sketch pattern tool, but first a slot. Use an overall slot. Line it up on the origin if you wish. It's 6.5 wide for now. Now, the dimension that I've measured is 9 or 18 divided by 2 across the radius, 9. And I'd like to make this all fully defined, of course, so let's line them up for sure. Did it work? No. So what's going on? Oh, right. We do need to say it's vertical. Next, well, because it's a circle that we're coming up to, no matter how big the circle is, if I pop this on there, it will always be past because it's a circle. So that's a good way to do this. So we have a slot. We kind of represent a machine coming in, like a milling machine. We've got 4 of these guys. Now, this is could be a point of issue. One thing you can do is you can just select the outside of the slot, pick the center, and say 4. If the outside is constrained, as far as I can tell, this is always constrained as well. If you move this, though, woe betide you. You can never get it back. So, well, you can, but it's painful. There are 2 wrench marks on this as well. We'll put them at the top and bottom. They're just modeled or made as a flat horizontal. Let's actually do this on purpose. We'll make this horizontal. And our dimension from the center, again, is, if you want to type it out the way I do, it's 28.6 divided by 2. That's our wrench mark. Just having a look at it. Looks about right. Actually, maybe it should just be 15. Let's go for 15. Sorry, 15. It's fine. 15. Changing my notes here. So there's our part. For those of you who are wondering how do you do this all at once, I have bits of paper on my desk here. We're going to do a pattern here. Circular pattern. Again, which one though? This is solid for solid modeling. Sketch is the one we want. Pre-selected, and the center is over here. Of course we could do this with a mirror. We're just making a point of patterns today. Quantity 2. It's not a bad solution. It does sometimes come up you want to make multiples, and this is an easy way to do it. Just a caveat here, Autodesk themselves recommend that the pattern is more solid modeling. For us, trying to make a point of the various types of patterns available to us, this is not too computationally intensive, so if you are doing a huge pattern, it's more effective to do it as a solid model. Now go to the end. Of course, it doesn't change anything because that's just a sketch right at the start. How do we get this sketch to affect the bottom of the part? Now, also, where do we want to put it? You can see there's a revolve here, there's a thicken, there's the fillet, probably before the fillet. So the question is, there's also a chamfer coming up. I'm just going to make a point about how history works here. We're going to see how it works, see how, explore a little bit. There's a chamfer on the bottom of this. If I right click on here, there's a very tertiary file, piece down here, chamfer, and it's a 2 distance, and it's 1 by 3. Make sure you get the right direction. It's bigger on the inside. Say okay. Now if I go ahead here and insert my soon to be cut with these slots, will it wreck the chamfer? So let's just keep an eye on that. So let's do an extrude. Be quite careful about picking this. I'm going to do a test here first. 2 guys. And it wants to go this way. But we're going, instead of the profile plane, from an object, which is the bottom of the part. Nice. Distance is 6. Looks good. Let's add our other profiles. Be a little careful on this one. Should be cutting up this side of the hole. Yeah. Same over here. So we got our wrench mark at the same time. And on the real part, the wrench mark is aligned. That sound is the real part being looked at. Say okay. Oh yeah, nice. But does it wreck our chamfer? Let's try it. One out. The fillet's of course fine. And the chamfer works just fine. Amazing. Great. Perfect. If we go in here and have a look, I wonder what it's done. How many... Oh, it's 4 edges again, so it's managing it for us. So before it was just 1 edge, now it's 4. Nice. Now, one thing is I'd like to be able to use the fillet on these guys right in here because they do have a bit of a fillet. Can I just rearrange? Yep. So we've got chamfer, then the fillet. So the fillet's now last. Let's add a row here. Let's call this like, I'm going to just do this face and call it 0.2. Is that what I want? Looking at the part. No. So I'm gonna unselect that. And we lose our row. That's okay. So what I want to do instead is actually just use the edge. So I'm going to do an easy one here first. So plus again, 0.2. Or maybe 0.25, or it's quite a big fillet actually. I'm looking at it, 0.3, maybe even 0.5. small 0.3. See if we do this over here, holding down the command key to turn off the preview. It's not bad. That's kind of how it looks. And if this gets in the way, you can grab this carefully. Interestingly, it's kind of also rounded on the front edge. Now, we'll see that there's a problem with that. I'm not sure about these edges here at all, actually. Sorry, I'm looking at the part. It actually is very much like this. Yeah, interesting. That's how it looks. So let's go here and fix this other side. So just get rid of these two guys because it can't run those two together. Oop. Can't run them together so tight. So there's our final event. I'm good with that. And then our last but not least is our hole. I'm going to hide all these sketches after renaming this guy. Profile wrench, profile. Yeah, wrench, I would say. So, don't need that anymore. We're looking good. Last is the hole. Doesn't matter which way we go in, of course. Let's go with a hole on this face. And it starts off just, you know, whatever. Let's just make it a normal hole to begin with. So, just going to move it into place. It doesn't care if you go into space. It'll give you a warning in the background there. But it'll happily do it. Turn to a threaded. Previously I've tried with a 16, I believe. Let's go through all. And 16 by 1.5. Let's try to look underneath to make sure it looks about right. That's about right. So let's go for a 16 by maybe a 1. No, it's 1.5. Sorry, I'm looking at the part. It's probably 1.5. Say okay. See what we got from that. Have a look at our analysis. Spacing. It's not bad. It's tight-ish, but this is not a highly stressed thread, I don't think. It's mostly through the part is mounted and all the torque runs through these faces. So the worst is somebody leaning on it really hard, which I've done. Seems to be fine. People tend to rock these quite a bit. It's all perfectly pleasant. While I'm here, I'm just going to collect all my surface work into one folder or group. I'm just going to rename that as, sorry you can't see it, but rename is down there as surfacing. I know we always ask to see stuff, so go ahead and show me it expanded, but for completeness or for tidiness, I sometimes hide it in a folder or a, what do they call this? A group, sorry. So to finish this off, I am going to mesh this actually. So I'm going to save this as done or masked. And let's have a look at meshing here. This guy. What are we going to be mostly interested in? Well, obviously these teeth. Obviously. Let's go for static. Again, I'm not going to bother setting everything up because I'm just mostly interested in the mesh. Notice the bodies though. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in here. So let's go into simplify. Shell is all I want. I renamed this somewhere further back. I might have been in another video, so I just rename it shell. And you can right click here and say remove all except selected. Return and finish simplify. gets rid of that extra faces in there. Now let's just turn on our mesh. It's slow. So what's causing all the problems? Well, there's quite a bit of work going on in here. There's quite a bit in the part as well. And, oh, hello. We forgot to get rid of our thread. Now, one thing we could do is go in here inside of this model and delete it. However, I'm actually going to go back to design here. Go into document settings. Notice up here at the top we've got threads, cosmetic, and if we might have to toggle this back and forth a couple times. Say okay for it to pick up all the threads we have, turn it back to cosmetic. And now all of a sudden we get a cosmetic thread, which is kind of great. It shows us some like pre-tapping offsets and all the rest. But now if we go back to simulation, it's out of date, remesh, we'll see that the thread is gone. So we also have some interesting density here, from which I kind of knew was coming at the beginning of our little fillets inside of here. The point I'm trying to make here is that we have this tiny fillet, which is going to be controlling the mesh a little bit. It turns out it's actually in a good spot. We're going to game the mesher by actually leaving that fillet in there. However, there's one out here that's probably unstressed that we're not really that bothered by. So let's go back into simplify, remove faces. We're going to select these guys. Let's see what it does. Just that one. Nice. And this one. Now this is not, again, not deleting it from our model. If we go back to design, it'll still be there. But this removes it from our simulation model. Rematch. Now, this is going to be painful. I'm looking at this right now saying this is way too small for a wrench. Let's go back to design. Let's have a look at our sketches. Which one was it again? Right, profile wrench. Edit. No, well, we can actually, let's not do that. Let's show the dimensions again. Where is that? There it is. Let's go to, say, 14.6 or so. Go back to simulation. Regenerate the mesh. Right down here. It's more reasonable now. And of course my random changing of stuff would be unacceptable. But for now, let's just leave it at that. 14.6. Getting a good mesh under here. Let's have a look at our settings. Again, sometimes it shows up in here. If you've just been doing mesh, you sometimes see mesh settings. Now, it's already quite tight. Let's change our maximum turn angle down slightly, not a lot, down to 50. Regenerate the mesh. I'm interested in the teeth and the faces that are going to be in bending. So this is the cut inside of the tooth. So it's going to be this face right here. It's quite tight. It's not bad. It's maybe a good first stab. Inside these holes might also be tensed or stressed. It's not too bad. And we're seeing a reasonable amount here. Let's actually go one more. 2 steps further down. I'm going to go down to 40, remesh. That's tight. Not too crazy anywhere else. It's probably close to where we're interested in. Some of you might be thinking, well, might want to have some more in here, but this hole here, the threaded hole, is essentially just to hold the whole saw down. Shouldn't be highly stressed. One thing though that is a worry is it's quite thin through here, so you might end up actually deciding to, oh well, we are going to go ahead here and model this, simulate the threads. But interestingly and usefully, on the inside, where some stress is going to be coming through from the torque. Not bad on these, less worrisome, but still a problem, the fillets on the ports. And these aren't too bad right now. We might be looking to use potentially a local mesh control, but for now, let's leave it at that. Show me some good mesh happiness. Maybe a couple of shots of that in your PDF, and there we go. That's it for the mesh. One last thing, back to the design. Keep in mind I changed the dimension here. So this 14.6 is now, sorry, it was 15 before, is now 14.6. And all I want to know is my mass. Now let's turn my threads back to modeled. And let's get a mass. I'm going to hide my sketches. Sorry, not a mass, a volume. It's quite a big part. So I'm also going to change to cubic centimeters. Or centimeters, which will give me cubic centimeters. Let's have a request. Properties. Manage, don't care right now. Volume. Let's actually go back to millimeters. It's not unreasonable. Volume. Where is it? There we go. Let's go for that. 11083 plus or minus a tiny bit. We'll give you some range on that. But there we go. That's our part, and that's our volume that we're after. Take a screenshot of that. Again, keep in mind I shifted that wrench at the very end there. Also, this doesn't contribute any mass, of course, but just there we go. That's our final shape, and that's it for me at long last. A whole saw from scratch. Some of you thinking total insanity. That's fine. It's the whole point is to deal with interaction between surfacing and solids, patterning galore, deleting and maintaining parts, and then maybe a little bit of tidy up at the end. But show me your full expanded history, and the bodies and sketches should be minimal. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Over to you.